Hello, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'd like to welcome you to today's session, Esomar AI Tools series, the February edition, with our esteemed panel of experts. A couple of points before we begin. The webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be made available to you after the webinar. You can ask questions during and at the end of the session by sending them through the questions widget. Our webinar platform has a few functions, which I will quickly walk you through. The slide shows you where you can send your questions, where you can see the slides, and there are also a group of widgets. These widgets offer you the chance to interact with fellow webinar attendees through the group chat or to interact with the platform and with the content. The console can be adjusted with the windows made bigger or smaller, so just click on the icons and see what happens. The platform is designed for you to get everything you can out of our time together, so experiment and have fun. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to our moderator today, Xavier Palacio. Xavier has been guiding and coordinating the creation of studies, reports, and other publications at Esomar's intelligence unit since 2018. And now leads the Department of Professional Standards and Public Affairs. Over to you, Zabi.
Thank you so much, Christine, and hello everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. It is a pleasure to take on this role for today's session and webinar, to be the moderator and to introduce to you all this array of excellent professionals that we have with us today. I would like to start introducing you already to our first speaker, Fanny Leautier. Fanny Leautier leads the Consumer Insights and Analytics function for Philips Personal Health. She's a passionate leader with over 20 years experience in insights and analytics, strategy, marketing, and innovation. She is very committed to progress on the transformation journey, leveraging the power of AI and advanced analytics to generate insights, while at the same time investing in human centricity as an organization, empathizing deeply with consumers' needs. So thank you so much, Fanny, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Xavier. Very nice to meet you all, and yeah, feel very kind of honored to open this session. I think it's a very important topic that we talk about today. And as you will see also on the screen, it takes a bit, but I think how is AI, Gen AI, actually changing the game in consumer insights? And that's where we're all busy with. I guess that all of you that are live listening in would like to know, how is Gen AI redefining the game for me? Where should I be worried about? But I think most importantly, where should I look for the opportunities? Because I think it will change and we need to be open and ready to do that. Probably you heard about DeepSeek. I guess there's nobody on the line that didn't hear about it. It has been shaking up the market quite a bit last week, I guess. You know, a new kind of open AI model out of China with only a fraction of the cost of OpenAI, how they developed it. You know, 6 million they state. You never know what's the real kind of budget that they used. But it's of course also open source. And it's interestingly that such a kind of startup out of China suddenly is rivaling with the big ones coming out of the US. And it has been impacting the stock market quite significantly because it has been developed at a fraction of the cost, but also much less computing power needed. So what does that mean for all the investments, the billions of dollars that are being invested in AI data centers and chips, etc.? So quite a shaking up of the market happening. And that means as well, if you think about it, you know, and Justin Trudeau said this actually in 2018 at the World Economic Forum. So think about it, 2018, even before the COVID crisis pandemic happened. Change has never been this fast, and it will never be this slow again. And I think it's even more true today that, you know, we should be prepared that you know, things are changing super fast around us, and we need to be adaptive and embrace it. Look at the opportunities and test and learn on what works for us, and embrace it. Don't be afraid, but look at what it can do for you. Even earlier in January at the World Economic Forum, Matt Garman, the Chief Executive Officer of Amazon Web Services, he said, the technology is moving at an incredible rate. And I don't know that we've seen technology progress as fast as it is today. And I think one of the challenges of that is it's hard for everyone to keep up. So that's what we're facing every day. But I think we need to think about where should we keep up and how should we implement. Do you want to be that early, that kind of innovator, or do you want to be the early adopter, or maybe early majority? It depends on what role you play, what you want to do, and how you want to use it in your company, in your research agency maybe, or in your corporate company, or maybe a smaller company. So think about, how to embrace it in a way that's relevant for you. So how is Gen AI redefining consumer insights? I think AI, and we all know that, what can AI actually do? Automate repetitive tasks, accelerate writing, brainstorming ideas, analyze and condense information, simplify the complex, expand perspectives, improve what's available, and all of that at high speed. And I think all those elements of AI are actually super relevant for consumer insights. So that's why we should embrace it, because as insight kind of professionals around the world, this is the biggest change actually, I think, that is happening to us. Because I'm, Xavier said, I'm more than 20 years in insights. I've also been in the business, but I remember that we changed from telephonic interviewing to online interviewing. That was a big change. We thought at that point in time, right? Maybe there are some people here on the line that also experienced that. But I realized that what is happening now is so much more kind of impacting what we do and the role we play as insight professionals in companies. It is, I think, mind-blowing for me if I think about how I approached it in my role as well a year ago versus where we are today. It is quite a difference on how we are kind of changing our perspectives and, let's say, setting the first steps into, let's say, how to embrace this at scale and scale it across the company. So AI takes over the research process. I think all of the agencies that are here online will probably testify that writing and programming questionnaires, prompting, and you get a questionnaire, sampling, interviewing, quality checks, and all of that. And that's just the beginning, right? Because I think Gen AI in actions, if you think about how we use insight, is applicable in different use cases. It's about generating actionable insights, predict how brands are growing. How can we much faster actually design and iterate on powerful communication and impactful communication, as well as, for example, pack development. And not even talking about innovation, because innovation and creation, how to do that today versus how we think we can, let's say, progress very fast, let's say, on the near term. And we're experimenting actually as we speak with about this, is really mind-blowing, I think. Even to tell you, yesterday we had a workshop where we actually worked together with the marketeers, applying AI at insights, AI generation, AI for concept writing, AI for designing a new product, and doing that at the speed of light, because we were doing that in one day all at once. And think about it, how we did that maybe a year ago, where we had several workshops doing that. Well, even in this workshop, we did it at the same time with a community online. So to have that combination between the artificial kind of voice versus the real human voice. So how can Gen AI help us to unlock the existing, let's say, existing consumer insights that are there? Because there's more than productivity, as I said, it's high quality, actionable consumer insights for consumer-centric ideation, optimization, validation, and iteration. Faster, and at scale by using the power of AI. And as mentioned, it's seamless consumer insights, to synthesize much faster. It's about rapid and guided ideation to allow actually for more consumer-centric ideation. And that gives us much better quality ideas. And of course, don't expect Gen AI to do everything for you. But it, let's say, opens up your mind and your scope, and to get new ideas in that maybe in your tunnel vision when you're working on projects you didn't think about. Rapid validation of new ideas is absolutely a very important element, because things are changing with so much speed, and to optimize it and to evaluate ideas with the help of Gen AI is so much more powerful. And then, as I mentioned, the iterations that you can do, for example, product or pack designs or creative ideas or campaigns, etc. All of that, of course, super powerful. So yeah, what are the biggest changes that this can bring actually to all of us? And that was what Christine has asked me to talk about today as well, because there's a lot actually that you can do. But what does it really mean, and how, let's say, what are the biggest changes that we need to embrace and to really make sure that we are on top of it? And in my view, the biggest changes that this will have will, in our case, within Philips, for example, is our processes. Because think about it, the process of getting a briefing for a new product idea, we bring it to an agency, we plan whatever, focus groups, community discussions, and then we have a report, a deployment of results, and we go actually, and the marketeer thinks about it and, crafts and optimizes the ideas. Even if you think about it, the way we work with marketeers, this all will change dramatically, because we are, as insight professionals, we will work and prompt together actually, and probably we have the Gen AI platform to help us internally, or leveraging the platforms externally to do that much faster, and to also leverage the wealth of information, proprietary information that you have, but also refreshing that with the external world information with the use of OpenAI. And that means that, the way to work with the marketeers will be completely different, because it will be iterations very quickly, much faster than they expect actually to do, to work with, let's say, what the output that comes out of it, and how to process that to really, in our innovation processes, for example, to apply that and to become much faster and more get more quality ideas actually in our innovation funnel, but also the quantity of ideas will increase. And how do we do that, and how do we change our kind of waterfall processes actually that we are used to work with? And that means also the way of working with marketing will change completely, because it's not like, okay, I'll wait for your brief, and then we go and we brief an agency, we do it together. The agency fields, let's say the field work, then the results come back and you deploy. That will not be the way of working. As an insight professional within corporates like us, you will be the sparring partner of the marketeer, and probably you will be the expert also in how to get to a real strong actionable insight by the right prompts. So what is your expertise actually to bring that voice of the consumer in anything, let's say, that we do to develop new propositions, anything on pack development, etc. So it will be much more of a consultancy insight partner for the business, rather than taking in projects in and debriefing the results out to marketing. And that means that we need skills, different skills than what we maybe were used to, because we are, as insight professionals, good in writing questionnaires, and even those who are online working in agencies are the best, I think, in doing that. But I think that also shows that these are skills that we can leverage very much in prompting. So asking the right questions, in order to leverage the wealth of information that is there and to get the ideas out there that we need. But it means also that marketing also needs to be upgraded and skills need to be, let's say, built in order to think and to process, the consumer interaction, the consumer insight, the ideation process in a very different way. So that means that, in order to make things happen and to scale the Gen AI application in consumer insights, and in our case, for example, in innovation, we are looking actually also what it means in terms of the way we work, the processes that we have, and what skills do we need actually that need to be upgraded in order to maximize the impact. Many of you probably have a lot of concerns about it as well. So what are the drawbacks as well? And do we act upon that? And should we be aware and should we, let's say, really have that top of mind when applying Gen AI in any of the work we do? Because it's not anymore like, we thought, when was it? I was at the Esomar Congress 1.5 years ago, and we talked about Gen AI as, okay, it's as good as your kind of intern. It's not your intern anymore, right? It's really a full-blown kind of partner in your team, actually. So I think we need to work with it. And how do we actually also think about, let's say, how to deal with that? I think a big one is privacy. I don't know if any of you are aware of that, but if you talk about, us in Philips, privacy and compliance concerns are super important. So anything we do, we need to comply to any privacy regulation that is there, which is super strict in Europe. Different regulation in China, different regulation in the US, which is also not helping. But it means as well, it is, also in terms of speed, breaking us a little bit, right? It's not, we can't do everything. And I think it's really important that we do that as well. And I read also something about, let's say, in 5 years from now, that will be less of an issue because all the algorithms will actually be trained actually on synthetic data. That's not the case right now yet. So there's still a lot of things that we need to think about. But this is a major issue. It holds us back in anything we do also. So we need to think about how to do that in a very, let's say, privacy compliant way. The second one is data fragmentation and siloing, I think. We need to think about what is the data that we're using. Are we, let's say, just unlocking one source or more sources at the same time? What is it that we use in terms of data from which countries, from what kind of consumers? It's really important to be aware of that bias, because if you're in a certain silo, then the results will stay within that silo, right? So if you also don't bring in your own proprietary data, probably insight will not be as good because you're leveraging kind of what everybody is leveraging. I guess that some of you have tried to build a synthetic persona based upon OpenAI. Is it a real human? Is it strong enough for your business, etc.? Or, yeah, I think that's where you need to think about, okay, what is it? What are the real kind of data that has been used actually in order to get a strong algorithm? The human-machine balance is something that we also need to be aware about. Gen AI will not give us the answer. It will not give us the next innovation just like that. It's always that balance between, okay, what kind of technology gives us versus how the human interacts with it. And that balance is super important because we are still the humans that decide, is this the right direction to go? Is this really deliver upon what real people need in their real lives based upon their real needs, all right? Because there are all kinds of ideas coming out, and it's up to us to decide what is the right thing to do, which direction to go. So the machine will not take over. But also I think an element of this is we should not and we cannot only rely on, let's say, the synthetic data that is out there or what Gen AI proposes us. The connection with real people will also in the future, in a different way, but still be absolutely super important to keep that authenticity, to keep that real human voice also there, to judge and to go deeper and to really make it super strong. Then I mentioned already the upskilling on AI. Is everybody ready to do that? Also an important one. And then collaboration across functions, as we see it as well. There's a lot of IT. And last thing is start small and scale fast. So don't start huge, but start small. I think I need to hurry up, so I'll go a little bit faster. So it means, what will be the end result is augmented intelligence, and it's that combination of artificial intelligence and the human intelligence combined with real people insights. And that will, I think, be, that combination will give us that richness, these rich insights, rich ideas, and also will help us to make that right choice as a business, where to focus and where to invest. Last question that how does Gen AI actually change the client-agency relationship? What do I think? And I don't know, of course, if this is in reality always the case, but I think it will change the relationship. And I think if there are agencies here on the line, I think because there's always, as you know, companies, buy services, as like Philips, we do that. And there was always the balance between make it ourselves, buy it outside, or borrow it. So we do that not only for insights, but it's true for anything, also in innovation, for example. We can do that like that. And it means that ensure, because we will always work with the agency partners, especially if you as an agency build upon your specific expertise, your proprietary data, and your expert knowledge, because that is unique, and that's where you're different, that's where you add value. I think as well the second one is it will become more of a consultancy partnership. You co-create together, we ideate together, and that means that consultancy partnership means more business acumen also from agencies that we work with, because you will be in contact directly with the marketing teams and do projects together. And then there's the connection to client processes or systems. Technology is advancing fast, so how do you prepare actually to integrate and to connect to the kind of the client, let's say, systems that are in place. So my last point is, what did we learn so far? There are 12 lessons learned for us as Philips Personal Health, actually, in this short period that we have been, the last year actually investing in it. I will not dwell on all 12, you can read them. But I think for me, the most important one actually to be aware of is, free up time and resources. So really, we have invested really in terms of resources and as well as budget, of course, to do that. You need to have sponsorship of top management to do it, because it's quite a change, and it's not only insights, but it really impacts the whole marketing community. The second one, privacy. It's not the most sexy thing, I think, to talk about, but it is super important. It's just such an important enabler to see what you can do and cannot do, and how to, let's say, learn from that and to speed up. And then, I think it's about start small, scale fast, because in the end, the benefits are really relevant for the full company. So we cannot continue in piloting. No, it will be really to drive that impact across the company for the use cases that work. But that means to also be prepared to fail, because not everything will work. And that means that we have sometimes 3 work streams in parallel running to be able to decide which one works, which one doesn't work. And based on that, we make a choice and we continue. And that will continue because technology is changing fast. So we need to be prepared to make changes and to adapt along the way. Thank you all. I think there's Q&A at the end when all the speakers have been presenting. Over to you, Xavier.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been actually really interesting, Fanny, and it actually, I mean, I was taking notes and I was thinking just how much what you're saying is also supported by a lot of the data and insights that we also gather at Esomar in our reports, etc. So there is really quite a few takeaways that were really I was really feeling, you know. I was thinking that we're really on spot. So I will continue with our next presenter. Let's move on to Caplena, and I'm happy to present to you Pascal de Buren. Pascal de Buren is one of Caplena's co-founders and machine learning engineer. He combines deep AI development in natural language and computer vision with vast experience in bringing AI technology into products. Pascal develops patented AI software for one of the largest insurance software providers in the world before founding Caplena. So thank you so much, Pascal. And again, the floor is yours. And before giving you the floor, I've seen that there is a bit of chat or a few comments going on in the chat, which is great to see. If people have questions that they would like to ask the presenters towards the end of the sessions, don't forget to drop this in the Q&A widgets. And also, of course, if you would like to check the resources widget to check the presentations and download the slides, you can also do so. And now with these little notes, it's all over to you, Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you, Javier. Yeah, loving the opportunity here to talk to you all. I'm sure Javier, maybe now you're maybe still taking notes, but we will all have our AI note takers and AI generated Q&A questions soon. But first, and before sort of all the AI takes over, I would like to sort of throw a little wrench in the game and talk about safety in AI. Sorry. Yeah, we at Caplena, we are, maybe as Fanny briefly mentioned, sort of course, people are using AI to analyze feedback, to analyze survey responses, to analyze what's going on in online reviews. And of course, generative AI accelerated this even more and opened up new use cases. And today, I would like to highlight a few things that we are looking at to make sure that we are employing AI safely and that we're not either providing wrong output or informing decisions that go in the wrong way. Of course, I've seen already, as well as mentioned in this presentation, how sort of different levels of AI openness are there in different companies. Now, today I'll be primarily talking about sort of an internal case where you are looking for insights in the data. But this is even more relevant, of course, if you're exposing this to your customers or have even go beyond to some kind of agent that directly interacts with customers. So I think this will be relevant for everyone and everyone in the future. So, I mean, what's the issue? Of course, we all know that both humans and AI can make mistakes. The primary issue that we see that it's just different kinds of mistakes, and we need to be sort of alert and find ways to deal with that. And what I would like to highlight here is one example that we sort of ran into quite frequently is that sort of when we look at how generative AI processes text or also images actually, is of course they are brilliant pattern matching machines, and yeah, great at what they are good at, which is mainly producing convincing looking text. And that's actually what we frequently see. So for example, here is an example of different kind of feedback. We have like 8 responses. 5 of them are negative and 3 of them are good. But when we sort of ask generative AI to produce us a percentage of negative reviews, it will give us a convincing looking answer, but it is still wrong. It's giving me sort of the indication of how I need to compute the percentages, which is great. I personally already knew the formula. I hope everybody here as well. But sort of it gets it just wrong. It interprets my findings wrong. And people were already talking also a bit in the chat of sort of how prompting and also in the presentation, how prompting will become is very important. It is true, but actually, even if you fine-tune the prompts, you will get a lot of made-up things already in generative AI models. And what we see, for example, here is that I'm having a bit of trouble switching the slides. Apologies for that. Here, that it will make up responses, although we did not give any context around sort of what this product is or any feedback beyond this is great or this is bad. It made up things around sort of how for example, the quality of the service was, which clearly was not information present in the data. And we've seen actually, no matter sort of how carefully maybe you prompt, maybe there is a prompt guidelines, whatever, it doesn't work. What works is really verifying the output and making sure that we are on an accurate basis, and plus like also to share some additional tips. So how do we make AI trustworthy? So how we do it internally is by keeping the human in the loop. Fanny also already mentioned about sort of augmented intelligence. We augment the human by using AI, but of course, anytime we produce an AI output, we want to make sure that it's correct and augment the human, that being able to listen to human feedback and act on it. And that's how we do it, for example, at Caplena, when we analyze or people analyze open-ends automatically on a platform, they can review a small sample of responses that how they are coded, and by that inform both the AI and also to sort of produce then a quality score that gives the information of sort of how good is the agreement between what a human would do or what the machine. And sort of this kind of reviews then informs the AI also about, of course, specific example. We can iterate on how we prompt the AI, how we fine-tune the AI, and also give an indication of how good the agreement is, and thus give you comfort in that what you're reporting actually makes sense. Also, of course, in order to use AI safely, we need to be up to date. And this is both relevant for what kind of context we give the AIs, and also, of course, the sort of analysis framework that we look at. Typically, when people analyze open-ended responses, for example, they do a code frame, and a code frame sounds static. It's a frame, like it sounds already very static, but actually, of course, the data beneath it can change. We have, time is going on, different issues arise, and we need to be able to reflect that. And the AI itself will not detect that it's out of date, but we find ways of sort of rerunning based on specific triggers, deduplicating with existing data to find, for example, new data, new topics, in the data that will allow us to sort of raise new issues that are coming up. And of course, also we can monitor this scoring that we do, this quality score, and kind of measure over time to make sure that we are still in the green, we can trust the AI's output on our analysis. And we think that this is really crucial. We will never be able to make AI completely transparent and explainable. Before that, it will probably take over everything. But we can make sure that at least we have a measure of how certain is with its assignments, and sort of can guide it and review its accuracy and be alert of any kind of changes in those parameters where we need to act to ensure that we are taking the right decisions upon this valuable data from, of course, preferably from real humans. I would like also to share a small video where we sort of show also how we think it's relevant to share or to present AI-generated output. We also have a chat interface that allows our users to chat with the data, with the survey, or with online reviews, or both combined, and ask any kind of questions. But what we think is very important is, of course, on one hand, the generative AI is very good at providing the qualitative insights, right? Can go beyond any kind of existing coding that you have done and be more detailed than you could ever be in your coding, or dig out more insights than you could ever imagine. But it sort of loses this quantitative aspect, and that's what sort of we are focusing on, is to provide both angles. The qualitative angle with like a qualitative summary, really sort of answering the respondent, the researchers' questions, but then always embed it and add quantifiable information to it that we actually pull out of the data using this automated coding that we have in place. So it's always like both this qualitative angle plus this quantitative angle, which we think is really providing then the necessary meat to actually your insights, and not just some summary that is in pure qualitative nature and might be, of course, completely off. But we are all quantitative people, and that's why we also want to see this. So these were some small tips from my end. Now that the light's going off again, it's a reminder for me to stop. And I'm giving back to you. Please feel free to drop questions. Again, happy to chat also in the chat. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Pascal. It's been again quite interesting, and it's a really nice and interesting takeaway as well to see how certain tools can help to avoid these pitfalls, right? That general chat AI system can be prone to, right? Especially if they are just made to generate text and they are not fine-tuned to extract insights. So allow me to close Caplena's presentation and move on, and allow me to present to you our next speaker from Breta. The next speaker is Chris Moen. Chris Moen is the CEO and co-founder of Breta, an AI research assistant for all your qualitative data. He's a serial entrepreneur that has sold 3 companies, where the last one was a tool for digital unmoderated user testing that got acquired by usertesting.com. So with all you, Chris Moen, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. And again, a kind reminder that if you have any question for any of the speakers, you have the Q&A widget for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. As Xavier mentioned, we built an AI research assistant that can get you instant answers to all your research questions from all of your qualitative data. And when we started to build Breta, there were some challenges that we wanted to tackle when it came to qualitative research. One of them was, of course, volume overload, that managing vast data sets can be overwhelming, that it's very easy to let bias and subjectivity bleed into your research, that it might also skew your perspectives. Also, loss of context, that just reading in a quote or an insight might not give you everything you're looking for. But of course, that it's time intensive. It can take a lot of time to analyze 15 user interviews or a similar amount of focus groups, for example. Also, pattern identification is a challenge, but also that generalizability, because the findings are often context specific. So how did we go about and try and solve for that in Breda? First, we let you basically analyze multiple files. So that could be 20 user interviews or focus groups or other types of data. We support a lot of different formats like PDFs, documents, and so on that you can analyze at the same time. And you can ask questions across all of the files. But first, we also, if there's an audio or video recording, we will automatically transcribe those recordings and also identify speakers, even if it's a focus group with 10 participants, for example, as you can see here on the right-hand side in the screenshot. And then we'll also put on some additional metadata automatically about the participant if there's available data about it. Once that is done, then you can start asking all your research questions. And the way it works is that we will then look at all the data that you have uploaded, and then we'll find any relevant quotes or data within the files, and then create what we call findings, which is essentially an objective observation on it that then can support the answer to your question. Once we have all the findings from all the different files, that's when we'll automatically synthesize all of those findings into a coherent summary. As you can see here, for example, what are the key needs? And then we'll list it out automatically. And then always have the reference back to the files. And in order to also create the best possible answers and also make sure that there's as little hallucination as possible within the in the answers and whatnot, because we've then built everything up from the quotes, from the raw data, for example, then you can easily go and hover over any of the references, and then we'll show you exactly what the quote was that then supported the finding and everything else that's relevant, for example. And once you click on that, then it will also automatically play the video from where they said that exact thing in the recording. So everything then has that traceability back to raw data. So every single answer you get in Breda will have then a reference back to raw data, which allows us to give a lot more accurate answers than compared to other AI tools, for example. If you have even more questions after asking your big 4 research questions, then you can also dig deeper with our chat, where you can then ask follow-up questions, ask for verbatim quotes, or if you, for example, I seem to remember there was something someone said in a specific interview, you can also just easily pinpoint that. It could be, for example, did Chris say something about Google Drive integrations, for example? Then it will look it through all the data and then fetch it and then give you the quote that where I said, for example, something about Google Drive. If I didn't say anything, then it will just tell you that there's no data, essentially. And the way that we built the tool is to be able to handle a lot of scale. And that's why a lot of companies like to use our tool, because compared to ChatGPT or Copilot, you can just manually select all the files you want to analyze and then see themes and patterns across all the different files. And that everything has that raw traceability, as I mentioned, where you can see the data. And yeah, that gives us a lot better ability to give accurate answers across all the different files you might have. So if you want to try it out, you just sign up for a free trial at breda.ai, or you can just reach out to me directly on my email here. Thank you. Over to you, Sabi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Again, really interesting. At the end of the day, they say that it is in unstructured data where most of the insights can be found, and the ability also to track it, to be able to query it back and everything is definitely really, really good to hear. So thank you, and allow me, well, to continue with our next set of speakers, actually. And it comes from from the hand of Reviews. So as the head of consumer insights and analytics at Reviews, Noah Sashaf has spearheaded the creation and growth of the department, driving innovation with AI-powered review and analytics for leading CPG firms worldwide. At Reviews as well, Adi Topol focuses on empowering business to understand their consumers through advanced sentiment analysis and market intelligence, enabling data-driven decision-making. So thank you so much, Noah, Adi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xavier. Hello, everyone. Allow us to begin kind of on our side. And hi, Noah, be co-presenting with me.
Hello.
Okay. So today what we'd like to talk to the forum about is basically turning feedback into innovation. So how do we take our voice of the consumer and leverage it into recommendations and insight using AI? Here at Reviews, we've been around for about 13 years. And what we do is we take AI and machine learning and couple that with voice of the consumer, which we're able to bring into our platform in order to drive actionable recommendations. We look at 4 key areas that we operate in. We help with streamlining market research and intelligence, product innovation, enhancing marketing effectiveness, and we have tools to optimize the e-commerce space. We work with some of the world's leading brands in the CPG space. We've analyzed to date over 2,000 different categories with hundreds of sources where we pull in data and produce quite a lot of insights annually. If we look at kind of the overall journey of how we turn voice of the consumer into AI-based recommendation, we obviously start with collecting data at scale. So our system's able to go out and bring voice of the consumer from various sources, reviews and ratings on e-com websites, social media, surveys, and even our customers' CRM and point of sale systems. We work to create a controlled data set from that data that we bring in, and then we couple that with our proprietary trained LLM models, specifically trained on the topics that matter in voice of consumer, and we translate those into insights. And the last leap that we've made is taking insights that we are able to show our customers and transforming them into recommendations using, again, AI. If you kind of think of the platform that Reviews offers, we're really looking at kind of like a 3-layered cake, if you will, where at the bottom is our integration layer. This is where we go in and we bring in the data. Like I mentioned, this can be from e-com, can be from social media, and other channels, as well as our customers' own CRM and point of sale data. And then on top of that, we bring in the AI layer, which is responsible to couple both the data that we collect and organize, along with the LLMs, and out of which we produce those insights, and then finally those recommendations. And at the top, we have our AI business application layer. So essentially leveraging the bottom 2 layers to create business applications that are powered by AI and that operate in different fields of the enterprise, from consumer insight through marketing, product, innovation, and so on. Just a small set of differentiators that kind of set us apart from similar tools in the industry. So like I've already mentioned, we really bring in a complete 360 view of the voice of the consumer or voice of the customer. We know how to do this across various channels, and we know how to do this from a category all the way down to a brand product SKU level. Our AI, which has been trained over the years for this particular purpose, is coupled with this data to produce the highest accuracy in terms of the insights coming out of the data. We offer our customers basically a zero effort setup where we can come in, look at the categories that are of interest to them, and then do the entire setup without any sort of customer effort. And then finally, like I've already mentioned, recommendations, not a small word in this space. It's really the next evolution from being able to produce insight into being able to produce what is the actual action that we need to take based on the insights that we have, and also the ability to take action. And I'd like to welcome my colleague Noah to talk to us also a little bit about kind of AI in the research space. Over to you, Noah.
Thank you, Adi. So where is reviews positioned in the market research space? So on the one hand, we have the traditional market research, the surveys, the questionnaires, the focus groups. They're built on smaller data sets, but the data transparency is there. You know what you're basing your insights on. That's very clear. On the other hand, you have what we are discussing today, the new LLMs, the new AI tools that more and more are being used. They use huge data sets. They give you the insights and the recommendations very quickly, but you're not quite sure what the data is about. The data transparency is not quite there. And you're not sure how much they're hallucinating, how accurate it is, and of course there is the privacy issues. And reviews basically combines the best of both worlds. We have the data transparency. You can always click through to the raw data and see what the insights and the recommendations are based on. And we also combine the big samples. We scrape the entire category and base our recommendations and insights on a huge data set. So how do we do this magic? Let's say we begin working on a project with a client on a certain vertical of many that we work on, let's say running shoes. Before we begin working on the project, we make sure to create a data infrastructure that aligns with our client's definition of the competitive set. So a business question about running shoes, for example, will be based on verified buyer feedback written for running shoes and only for running shoes, not fashion, not golf shoes, and for a predefined and agreed upon time frame. So we would also know what when this feedback was written. This ensures that we're answering business questions based on a relevant data set and that we make apples to apples comparisons. So say we're analyzing the US running shoe market, for example. The process would entail scraping, in this particular case, more than 200,000 reviews just in the last year from sources like Amazon and Foot Locker and Dick's Sporting Goods, for more than 5,000 brands, for more than 50,000 SKUs. And all this raw unstructured data is then funneled through to the reviews machine learning algorithms, broken down into topics and sentiments, which are then quantified and stored in a huge data repository, which allows us to pick and choose, very, very control the relevant data set for which business question, and to benchmark each product against all the products in the category or a subset, and understand the relative weaknesses and strengths of the product, and also unravel innovation opportunities based on product lookalikes. So following on from what Adi said, if we go to the next slide, this enables us, for example, to build a SaaS model like this. This is our product hub. And what it allows us to do is to provide actionable insights on any product, taking into account how it performs relative to the entire data set, which we have logged and cataloged, and to be able to unearth, for example, the product's strength, in this case, quality, color, size, foot support, weight, and also its relative weaknesses in shoelaces and cushioning and toe box. And this also allows us to then send to our LLMs, for example, if we want to understand what is the problem with the shoelaces of this product, send just the relevant data set behind the shoelaces discussions to our LLMs with a predefined prompt, and to not only understand that this is an issue, but how to fix it and bring a recommendation as well. So this approach, which combines a controlled, cleansed, structured data infrastructure with validated generative AI outputs, it allows reviews to deliver both data transparency and credibility, and to rapidly generate actionable insights and recommendations at a click. Back to you, Adi.
Much, Noah. So just to kind of to round it off, like from a reviews point of view, we are looking at AI and all the advancements in this space over the last few years, and really working hard to implement those capabilities so that we can achieve not only scale, but fast, actionable insight. And of course, we welcome any questions that come in the chat. And thank you so much. Over to you, Xavier.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. It is, thanks, Adi. Thanks, Noah. Again, really interesting to see, right, how like integrating AI solutions and full-on technology to a complete set of solutions for the brand. So thank you. It was very interesting. So let's move on with the last one of our speakers. This time I'm happy to bring to you Cambry and to introduce to Danny Camras. Danny Camras is the co-founder of Cambry, a leading research technology company specializing in AI-driven consumer insights and innovation. With a strong focus on iterative innovation, Danny has been instrumental in making advanced research accessible through automated workflows and AI algorithms. Perhaps because you are the last one of the speakers, I would like to remind those in the audience that you can submit questions through the Q&A gadget as well, and that we will pick all those questions right after at the end of this presentation. Thank you, and Danny, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Savi. Great, really interesting presentation. So one more to go. Hello, fellow Insight professionals, and good evening from Stockholm, Sweden. I will give you a short intro to how we at Cambry utilize AI, what problems it solves, and what benefits our customers really get with the help of both predictive and Gen AI. So we're a quant consumer insights platform and agency focusing on supporting innovation insights work. So really we focus on concept development and the early stages of innovation. We work mainly with consumer product companies, like you see here, Coca-Cola, Carlsberg, Danone, and Nestle. And our mission has been from start to reduce process and outcome waste. And what we mean with that is that reducing process waste means really automating insights processes and mundane tasks, often with the help of AI. But reducing outcome waste means really that we help to guide our customers which products will succeed in market and which not, by using predictive AI models combining survey data and in-market data to ensure that only successful products are launched to the market. So we are not working today with synthetic data. We are working with real respondents and survey data, but combining that with in-market data. So if we take this and what is it concretely that we do with the help of AI? Where do we use AI? So to make it really short and crisp, we basically use AI today for two things: to accurately predict if a concept that is tested, is it strong enough to sell well in the market when launched, and to how to understand basically how we can improve the concept and increase its chances of succeeding and selling well in the market, basically. So why do we believe that there is a better way now of doing concept testing, concept screening, and refinement with the help of AI, and answer basically these two fundamental questions? What are the problems that we're trying to solve? We've observed a number of challenges in the traditional ways of working where AI is now in excellent position in helping us out. So typically you have a lot of KPIs. You're looking at purchase intent, uniqueness, understanding, and so on. And you should understand, like, okay, how do we weigh in those, basically? And the idea has always been to beat the benchmark and the action standard, opposed to quantifying the likelihood of actually succeeding in the market, meaning selling well and not getting delisted when you have released the product to the market. And second, KPIs and open-ended data rarely match perfectly. There are often a lot of contradictions. For example, you might have a very high purchase intent, but then when you look at the open-ended data, there are quite stark contradictions. And and what we call conditions. So, for example, you can have a really high purchase intent, like in this specific number here. But then when you look at the open-ended data, there's a lot of conditions like, I may grab it on the go depending on the carbs content. I'd like to try it, but it depends on the price. So how should you balance in this type of comments? Because it's quite easy to create a concept that is really attractive and easy to say that, yes, I would buy it. You just fill it with a lot of great benefits and wonderful words. But then in open-ended data, you can get an understanding. Do they actually believe in the concept? Are there these type of conditions that are actually then somehow affecting if they really will buy it in the store or not? And of course, you have thousands of open-ended comments, and it's really difficult to distill that and understand how to weigh in that data and how basically you can scale this type of approach. It's pretty much impossible. So these are some of the things that we are really trying to solve and are solving with the help of AI, because we have the data there, but it's more about we don't really have the time to go through all that data. We don't have the capacity to weigh it in perfectly. So AI is in a great position to help out with that, basically. So to make this really concrete, I've recorded a short video. So the proof is in the pudding. So you get a bit of an understanding and more concretely understand how we are doing this in our platform.
All right, let's look at a concrete case in our platform on how AI is actually helping things for insights professionals. So we're looking at a noodle product concept test. The stimuli was a pack shot and a value proposition. And if we first look at the main score, which is the Launch AI score, so this is the aggregated score showing you how strong this concept actually is. So as I said before, this is a score that is capturing all the traditional KPIs and benchmarks together with all the open-ended data from the survey, plus looking at in-market data. So taking learnings from products that have actually sold well in the market and also products that have been selling poorly in the market to make this reflect how big is the potential for this concept to actually sell well when it's launched to the market. But if we go down from that and start to explain on why this gets a score of 61, why does it get a fairly high score? We have Launch AI drivers, so we can see the things that are really the strengths of this concept and driving this Launch AI score up are good for me, size and ingredients, use occasion and lifestyle. And then on the negative side, what is pulling this score down and the weaknesses with these concepts, it's price perception, purchase intent in general, and taste perception. So if we want to get even more granular and understand why this is the case, I can just click here and I can see a summary of the things that are positives and negatives when it comes to the good for me driver. So we can see clearly that there are 3 clear elements that are driving this score up, but there are of course still some elements that land on the negative side when it comes to the good for me. But all in all, it gets a positive driver of +4. If we want to see the original source of thing, I can just click on this one, and then I can actually see all the raw data that is behind this driver. So removing that black box feeling and being able for you to really drill down and see where that data is coming from. But AI is really doing the job for you here in summarizing that for you and also showing what impact that has on the concept strength. You can even click here on new concept idea, and then it's rewriting the value proposition that you tested based on the learnings that it got and based on how to optimize this specific driver. So in this way, the data immediately starts to tell you a story. You can see how strong is the concept, but you can definitely really quickly start to understand why is it strong or why is it weak, and how can we actually improve it, and also removing that black box feeling when you can actually with one click get to the raw data and original data there. We can also get that on a question level. So if we look at some of the traditional KPIs like purchase intent, we can look at the open-ended data around that. and then we can look at those that had high purchase intent. We can see why that is the case, so we can see why people would be interested in buying this. And if I would like to go one level down, I can click on content analysis, and then I can, for example, click on healthiness, and I can see how many of the comments about high purchase intent were around healthiness, and then I can actually see those verbatims here. So giving you that granularity and again access to the original source, but again the AI is really doing the job for you here. And same then if you would like to look at those that had a low purchase intent, why is that the case? So in this way, AI is really helping you both give that more accurate score prediction, but also really start to tell the story for you as an insight professional in being able to answer questions on why is concept A stronger than concept B, and how can we actually improve it.
So just summarizing what we saw on the main benefits of the usage of our AI capabilities, basically. So the first one is being faster time to insights. So AI helps really the insight team to answer why concept A is better than B and how to improve. So the data immediately tells a story, how strong it is, why, and how to refine. So we all know as insight professional, we don't have much time. And in this way, you have a much higher speed to insights when AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Removing the black box, I think the other presenters have also talked about this. The challenge with AI have been a bit that it also feels like this magical thing that just spits out something. So it's really important that you can easily see what data goes into it and easily understand, like, okay, what are the raw data behind this? So it's really important to have that easy access to that. Third one being avoiding confirmation bias and political decision. I think AI, in the way we are using it, is helping you avoid this type of cherry-picking behavior where you pick a few open-ended answers to support the story or the decision you want to make. So I think discussions around the data become less political when the AI is doing the first summarization and telling you what impact things have on the concept. So I think that's a really important thing that is really valued by our customers. But then the fourth one, of course, which is driving a big thing when it comes to the actual business impact. So more accurate predictions. So the concept strength score is directly reflecting the concept's potential to sell well in the market, not just reflecting if it beats the KPI norm, where we typically see a 30 to 40% accuracy in giving you the right recommendation. When utilizing AI and combining open-ended data, the KPIs, and the in-market data, we see actually that we can get to accuracies around 70 to 80% in giving right recommendations, that this is a strong concept that will sell well in the market and will actually do that as well. So there is a big lift in getting more accurate predictions, which of course directly leads to a huge business impact for our customers. Thank you for listening, and of course, more than happy to answer questions now or later. So here you have my contact details. So yeah, hopefully it was interesting. Back to you, Savi.
Thank you so much, Danny. Again, a great demonstration, and yeah, very clear video as well that you have presented. So we have seen with these the presentations of these four solutions: Caplena, Breta, Reviews, Cambry. Once again, thank you all for your explanation, for your time with us. And I would like then to move on to this next section, in which we dedicate a few minutes to answer some of the questions from the public. As you can see, we've had a pretty good attendance today, and people seem to be quite festive about your presentations, which is always good. If I may then start some of the questions. Well, perhaps the first one that we received was whether the audience would have access to the slides, And yes, of course, the answer is that the slides are in the resources gadget, so they are available for the public. But if we move on, there have been a few questions, both on a bit more general. Perhaps I would like to start with a question for Breta. This question was posted by Eval Tolkunov, and she says, how do you address quotes that might be pulled by AI but taken out of context? How do you flag that there is more to the full discussion? The way I can imagine this question is, I recalled there was a funny video of a professor in a classroom saying, talking about how English is one of the, or it's a language specific because it has just one negation per sentence, and then the professor hears at the back of the classroom somebody saying, "Yeah, sure," just to show how words that appear to be positive can in reality be negative and otherwise.
That's a very good question, and it all depends a little bit also on the data, because what we do is we're basically a text analysis company. So we will only try and find answers within the text, but that's why we really want people to upload the recordings, because we extract text from recordings, but we can connect the quotes then to the videos or the audio recordings, so you can get that additional context. For example, there was a user researcher who wanted to analyze some user tests, and she came back to us and said, well, Breda was a little bit too maybe strong in its statement, because she experienced it in a completely different way because of the way the participant said it. So that's why it's important to basically have that connection between the video or the audio, so you can get that additional context. And also it could be, for example, that let's say you want to analyze some sales demos. I tried that on myself, and I want to ask what are the challenges they faced. But if I, for example, then said what the challenges we were solving with Breda, the AI will just extract that as the answer, unless I actually add that as additional context, which you can do in Breda. You can say exclude all the interviewer quotes, for example, so you can also extract that away from the context. But Breda is essentially there to get you 90% of the way, for you to do that quality assurance, and that's the last step for you as a research professional to put it into as an insight. So we'll get you there with doing all the grunt work, but it's up to you, the end user, to do the rest of the 10%, which I think is healthy as well, and not just to rely 100% on AI and take it, as it is.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Danny. So, sorry, but thanks. Sorry, I did have a question again from David Jameson for Danny, saying, is the AI score and the links to the drivers based on a traditional regression model? Is perhaps a bit of a technical question.
Yeah, that was, I guess, to us. So it's not a traditional linear regression. It's a tree-based regression model. So it's a XGBoost model, basically, that we are using.
Okay. And if I may then a follow-up question, how many minimum number of cases to be taken into to draw good findings? This question was posted by Kalaidai.
Yes, so we do that per category and region, basically. So, and it's data that we are continuously collecting and adding up, and more is more, as it's always in AI models. I think the starting point to us to provide customers with scores is that we have somewhere around 60 to 70 cases to start with. And then we already start to see quite a good accuracy on things. It's a good start for the model.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would have a question for Caplena. So how well, when we're discussing their model, etc., how does Caplena approach AI validation and ensure trustworthiness in text analysis?
Great question. So yeah, we actually like to present specific examples to the user that we think still require human validation. We do that based on an advanced sampling method, of course, by taking into account how certain is the AI, how complex is the text to be analyzed, sort of what examples could the AI most benefit from. That's how we sort of sample these, and based on then the feedback from the humans that we get, from the user that we get, we can then compute an agreement score that we then sort of transparently give out, and then we can also monitor to help really also communicate then results. You can see above 80 means similar to, for example, if two different humans would have done it, or above 60 is, or above 90 is if the same human, you would have done it on a different day. It is, after all, a bit subjective in nature, and it's just useful to quantify that.
Okay. Thanks. And I guess there's a, well, somewhat related, not sure to what extent, but I did have another question for reviews. I don't know if it's more for Noah or for Adi, but please take it as you see convenient. But I was wondering, how does AI categorize topics in a meaningful way with reviews? So you were explaining a little bit how the model could look into the product category, into the. So how does it do it?
No, go ahead. Happy for you to take it.
So we have a machine learning capability. It's an algorithm that looks at the data and extrapolates the topics based on what is discussed in the data. It doesn't enforce or force topics on the data. It really unravels what people discuss based on what they say, the context in which they say it, and assigns it a sentiment based on the context. The way that it's done, we bring in the reviews, we break them into smaller sentences, opinions. The machine learning algorithm reads what's said in them, understands the context, assigns it a name, a sentiment, and basically all of this is aggregated and put in the right places in this huge data repository that I was talking about. There is a human component that also looks at it to make sure that it is, we check it. There is a lot of QA that goes into this. Eyeballs that also look at it to see that the training set did a good job in identifying the topics in the right context, fine-tunes it if needed, and then we go scale to millions of reviews. We do it in many languages, understand the context in many languages, because we also make sure that if we apply the machine learning to German, for example, that this is not translated to English and then classified, but it is done on the relevant language, understanding the context and idiosyncrasies and the cultural differences of that language. And of course, there is a human that understands the context, that looks at it and makes sure that, not just one, make sure that this is sound and checked and QA'd before we go scale. So reviews has a whole delivery team, QA team, that makes sure that we don't just take what the AI says for granted, but also checks it to see that it is not hallucinating before we go scale.
Thank you. Very clear. And I would have another question for Chris. This question is coming from Natalie Delgado. How do you go about GDPR compliance with your clients in integrating respondents' names or image or data?
Yeah, so by default, we anonymize all the participants' data in the answers. So, for example, if in the data says that it's Xavier and he said this and that, in the answers it will say participant A said this, for example, or participants in plural. So there won't be any personal identifiable information in any of the answers that you get in Breda. And then, of course, we auto-delete all the data automatically after 12 months or less, depending on what other companies or customers want. And then it's also up to each individual company on what data they want to share, as long as they have consent from the end users on what they can share, or when they, for example, get all the data under research. Then as long as you have a DPA, then you're good to go. But if you're hesitant about, for example, uploading videos, so you can potentially identify them by images and whatnot, then you can upload audio. But if you're then hesitant about being able to identify them with the voice, then you can just upload transcripts. And then if you're hesitant about transcripts, then you can upload anonymized transcripts, which, for example, a lot of banks and insurance companies do in Breda, especially in a trial period, so they don't have to go through all the loops of working with security and legal before they can actually test out the Breda and see the value. And then you're ultimately sitting there with 100% anonymized data that you're getting answers from.
Okay. No, thank you. I think this is useful. Actually, I think one of the main points of discussion with AI, something that we are also taking into account here at Esomar as we are uploading and revising our code of conduct as well, is the impacts on privacy from AI solutions as well. So it's interesting to hear about how we can moderate the level of anonymization of the data, right, from the video to the transcript to the anonymized transcript, etc. So it's good.
100%. Especially also if you're a European company working with other European companies. If you mentioned AI and privacy in the same sentence, then horde of lawyers will descend upon you.
Exactly, and I think that this, of course, this applies to all four presentations as we've had today, right? All four companies and basically all companies in this sector. I would like to maybe follow up with a question that I think it would be fair perhaps to ask to all the presenters what they think about this. This question came from Yuri Bakalov, and he says, I'm running a relatively small market research agency, still using traditional pre-AI methods of data collection and processing. He says, how can I start implementing AI tools in order to cut costs and improve quality of services? Can any speaker name a few basic AI applications that are available to the market which can be used by a research agency right away? Thank you. So if you would have some idea, some of these basic solutions that are actually affordable, useful, and pragmatic, right, and effective for such case. I don't know who may want to begin.
If you're,
yes,
I'm just bold here.
Yes.
I also went first. Well, I mean, if you're working with quant data, of course, I can recommend giving Caplena a shot to automate the analysis of your survey responses. Also, if you're looking into online reviews, there are price-effective options available for smaller agencies as well. And of course, AI is becoming more and more of a open system. Anybody can use ChatGPT, right, to to generate maybe a questionnaire or things like that, where you're not maybe directly putting output to the customer or interacting with them.
Yes, thank you.
I agree with what Pascal said. Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, I agree. I know our managed service team is when they're not using necessarily our platform, but doing other type of projects. I know they are using ChatGPT to create surveys, summarize things, going through data. So I think that already takes you quite far in automating processes and speeding up things. And of course, our tech team are using different type of AI solutions with helping them in coding and those type of things. But that is probably not then what the smaller traditional pre-AI methods agency is looking for. But I would start probably with open AI solutions.
I think
I would also recommend maybe. Okay, go. Okay.
Sorry, I was just
going to say
too close. Go ahead, please, Chris.
I was going to say we have also experienced that Claude from Anthropic has more better accuracy in its output, especially when it comes to qual data. So that's also worth checking out. And I think you can also get quite far with doing remote video and then recording it with Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, for example, and then running it through a tool to do transcription, which is also automatically included in some of those services. And then, of course, after Measure Beta as well, we have plans that scales regardless of size of company, everything from one-person agency starting at $10 a month to whatever enterprise companies.
I was just gonna kind of echo what the folks here have just said. I think mainly though, what I would say, the tools are out there from an AI perspective to do the research and to do the RAG and the query itself. However, I would just urge to have some diligence done on the credibility of the data itself. This is kind of like, there'll be plenty of tools out there to use. It's the credibility of the data that I think that really needs to be taken into account. But definitely if you want to do something on a small scale, plenty of tools out there. And I think Noah and I were looking at something just the other day, right? From OpenAI. Maybe Noah, you wanted to mention something on that.
I would first of all highly recommend that maybe consider doing things differently in terms of the kind of platform that you currently use to send out the surveys, for example. There are online surveys that are being offered today that where the answers or the responses are processed through already, built in. Reviews is about to launch, sorry that I'm kind of like pitching, but Reviews is about to launch a tool like this where you can do your surveys through our platform, and the answers that you get already built in utilize LLM power that can give you recommendations and crunch the numbers and also give you the recommendations and the summaries. So there are plenty of tools that are online surveys that already give you that, not all of them great, but there are tools out there that you can transfer, that you can switch to, or you can do your surveys online and get that AI overlaid like we do on our platform.
Yes, thank you.
The cheese is definitely moved. So, you know, we all need to move with it to become relevant.
Yes, yes. I feel that there are definitely opportunities to start somewhere, right? I think it's we all may have seen at times that it feels a bit daunting. You see so many solutions, so many companies that it can be a bit hard to identify where to begin. But well, I hope the audience got already quite a few ideas. As we were responding to this question, I think implicitly we also responded to what could have potentially been the very last question that I'm realizing we don't have time for. But I think it has been also addressed a bit, at least internally. The last question was, given all the different topics of research that exist, etc., how the AI is assured to make the insights relevant to the objectives and make it more meaningful. We've talked about the relevance of the model, human oversight, having the researcher or taking a look, being responsible for the research. I hope you would all agree. But with this, I think the only thing that is left from my side is to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Pascal. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Noah, Adi, Danny. Thank you all for your presentations. And I would like to hand on for the last minute, as instructed, to Christine to wrap up this session.
Yes.
Thank you all.
And you, Zavi. We want to thank our speakers for joining us, and of course, all of you for participating in this webinar today. We hope you have enjoyed your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you again on any of the Esomar platforms soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.